Today I'm going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. Actually, it's not, but I'm just going to say that because why not? 2019, I was doing something that really benefited me, but I stopped doing it in 2020 as most things. 2020, I feel as though I had a lot of good habits built up, but then everything just went to shit. So anyways, going back to 2019. In 2019, I was tracking pretty much every day of my life. The reason that I did this was not because I am the kind of person that likes to track data or anything like that, but I have to admit that I really like having data for a lot of parts of my life. I feel as though data is very important to actually look at and analyze. And maybe this is me being a product manager in a past life, but I really like data. And I had to find a way to track it myself. And this was kind of inspired from a lot of applications that use that kind of tracking, like Duolingo or Headspace or etc. These gamified apps that kind of make it so that you want to keep doing whatever it is that they want you to keep doing so that you keep going on the website. And I tried a lot of habit applications, but I didn't really like any of them. So I ended up just using the good old pen and paper. And I found this perfect calendar, which they don't sell anymore, but it had a way to much list a bunch of habits that you wanted to complete and check off if you had done it that day. And then on the side it had a section so that you could actually go and summarize your day. I don't know if that's what it was for. Maybe it was for actually planning stuff ahead, but I used it for that. And what I wanted to do at the time was track what was going wrong with my day so that I can change those things and not do them again. And this was inspired by Jim Collins. I heard him on the Tim Ferriss show talking about how he would keep track of his days in the same kind of similar fashion. Every day he would rank his day from a -2 to a 2, and then he would go back, I think it was yearly, and then he would remove the things in his life that were a -2, and then he would schedule more of the things that were a 2. 2019, I pretty much did this every day. I was having a very rough time. I feel as though 2019 was very traumatizing for me in a lot of ways. I had pretty much a Little Mermaid moment where I lost my voice. Not that dramatic, but I couldn't speak normally back then. This kind of started actually in 2018. At the end of 2018, I got really sick. So sick that I feel as though I damaged my throat, or that was my hypothesis at the beginning of 2019. I was sick, and then I would get a little bit better, and then I was sick again, just coughing my lungs out. It was a very dry cough, so I could feel it. It would hurt. My chest was in pain. So I didn't really worry about it until around March, maybe April of 2019. That's when I started thinking, this is not normal. It's been a couple of months and I can't really communicate in the way that I want to. The way it would sound was that it sounded as if I was kind of nervous, I guess. My voice would restrict at certain points or crack. I don't know. I got told a couple of times you sounded nervous, or it sounded as though you couldn't breathe. Are you okay? Are you sick? At first I just went with it that I was sick. Actually, the whole time I went with it. There was no moment in time that I didn't go with it because there was really no explanation for it. This was the first time that I had ever in my lifetime ever been really sick, especially as an adult. I guess I had to figure out how to go to the doctor, and this was a very lengthy process actually because I didn't have a primary physician. I had to wait around 4 months to actually get an appointment. I thought maybe by that point I would be cured, but I wasn't. So I kept having this issue, and then eventually I was able to see the primary physician about the voice issues, and then he said, "It sound weird," which I just laughed at. But I mean, that he was going to refer me to an ENT. And the side note that ENTs are usually useless. I thought that was a funny comment at the time, but that's what he said. And I ended up still going anyways. I don't know why. It took another 2 months to get an appointment with that guy. I ended up going to El Salvador to see an ENT there, paid $30 without any insurance, and actually got medicine that cured me instead of medicine that I didn't need, which is what I got in the US. The point of that story is that I had this ongoing health issue for a whole year. I started tracking in March, like diligently. Figured out that this was something that was not happening all the time. It was an intermittent problem. I figured that it was something that was triggering it. So I wanted to start tracking everything that I did, everything that I ate, and I had a few theories about what it could be, based on very extensive internet research and also just my very basic knowledge of medical science. Funny because on my 3rd visit to the ENT, which, by the way, my primary physician was very right in that it was very useless to go see this person, but I kept going anyways because why not? I just like to waste my time. I brought up allergies because... Why did I bring up allergies? I don't know. I started believing that it was an inflammation problem, and then I thought that it might have been something that was causing an allergy because it was not something that was present all the time. Said, oh, it could be that. Yeah, we could treat that. We could treat the other thing that I thought it was, and we could treat the other thing. We could treat all those things. You could take all the medicine, and then after you get cured, we'll figure out which one fixed it. Same time, I was reading this book called Principles. It's basically a book where he writes about all these principles that he comes up with as he goes through life, which makes it easier for him to make decisions. Because he has these principles written down, he can just refer to them. There are like structures in his life that he can look to, and he doesn't have to think as much about the decisions he needs to make because he already has these principles in place. The same way, I wanted to build a system where I can look at my past and use it in my future. I guess it was to make decisions, to do in the same way that Jim Collins said, to do the things that were 2s in my book and to do less of the things that were negative 2s. I actually made it a -3 to 3. And I did that because I wanted to be able to highlight the ones that were just like extremely bad, extremely good. And those were the ones that I really had to take a look at. And I guess, I don't know, I like the number 3 better than the number 2. It really helped. Made me figure out the stressors in my life and cut down on them and figure out what I really like to do. And it turns out I like to do challenging things. Started having this compass basically of these are the things that I gravitate towards. These are my North Stars, to be cheesy, and then the other things were the South. Here is what I did. I had 7 goals that I was going to target to do every single day. Calendar track that. On the side, it had a section for pretty much planning the day, but I used that as a summary section to write like 1 or 2 or 3 sentences of what happened in that day to summarize what made it good or what made it bad. It allowed me to align better on my goals for the next year, and then also, like I said, cull the parts of my life that I didn't want to repeat in 2020, and then start adding things to my calendar or to my goal list of things that I really liked that were 2 or above. When I was starting this habit, I wanted to make it really easy for me to do. The best book on habits that I've read so far is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talked about having these triggers and having a scoreboard, and these are the things that I wanted to incorporate into my habit building routine. So the first thing I did was get that calendar, and that calendar I could see it every day. So it was a trigger. Oh, hey, remember, you're gonna have to write down what you did. You're gonna have to rate your day. I hated having an empty little square. So even if I missed a day, I would go back and fill it. And it was really easy to do for the whole year. Once I had built that habit up, I moved to a journal, which is more private. Some people would see the calendar and just start reading some private information there sometimes. Once that habit was built, I quickly moved on to a journal, which was very private. I think I have to go back to the wall again, reiterate on that habit, because again, I'm falling through the cracks and not doing it now that it's in my journal. Really having it in front of you and triggering yourself through that method does work. Highly recommend that you do that first. So once I had built that habit of writing every day about my day and rating it, etc., then I wanted to build upon that and add things like a gratitude journal, a little drawing, I don't know, to-do lists, just happiness enhancers. I wanted to add those to the habit, so I did. So in my journal, I don't just write about my day and rate it, but I also do those things. I have a gratitude section, and I have a little drawing section where I can like be creative for the day. I highly recommend you use these habit tips to your advantage. I hope this helps you figure out what's great in your life and what you need to cut out, as it did for me. Comment below if you use any kind of tracker currently in your life, or if you do any daily routine like gratitude journal or just normal journal, meditation, habits that you could piggyback off and start doing this for yourself, because it will really change your life in 6 months or a year, whatever. Once you start doing it, it's going to be a habit that's going to keep bringing you rewards. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and see you next time.